Oh, I'll wait for the recording. All right, we're going to call our meeting to order. Start with Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I see that we have some people in the audience, so if you want to have public input, please put your name in the chat. Okay, welcome to everyone who's here tonight. And we are at agenda change. Are there any agenda changes?
We haven't.
Okay, moving forward, consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Okay,
I will second.
have a motion and a second to approve the consent discussion. Having no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All of those who vote to approve the consent agenda, please raise your hand. It's unanimous. Public input.
Nothing over here.
Jared, do we have anything? Okay. Moving on, Miss Donna Jones-Meyer. Meyer is here. It's been a while since I've seen her.
Oh, okay, so I'm going to share my screen. I have a presentation. Yes.
Yeah, it's like you guys don't wiggle.
Anyway, I'll be saying that then. I know most of you, but my name is Donna Johannesmeyer. I am the reading specialist at Driftwood this year. For the last 3 years, I had been the fourth grade teacher at Driftwood. I had lived in Wyoming before that and taught mainly second grade and some kindergarten. Hello. I'm super excited this year to be in the role as the reading specialist. I've taken all those years of working in the classroom and able to use it with all of the kids at Driftwood this year, which has been really amazing. What's most fun for me is that I get to work with all of our kids. So, you know, I'm not in the isolation of just my classroom, but now I walk down the halls and I get to see all of the kids. I get to know all of their names, watch them learn. So this is a really great job for me. I'm so happy to be in this role and I thank all of you. Are we ready, Jared?
Yeah, go ahead. Sure.
Okay, so now, where do I?
Do you have your slideshow?
Yeah. It doesn't look like any of these things.
Let's make sure it's open.
There's another one. There it is. Yeah.
Okay, so now go back to this.
All right. Okay. So this was really fun for me to do. When Erin asked me to come and share with you guys, it's been a great reflection for me to go through and look at kind of how I've gotten to this point, what we're doing and where we're going with it. So I love this visual. This is what we all do. Our room is full of amazing people who are doing this every day, watering and watching them grow. So this is the reading team that we have going right now. My title is the reading specialist. We have Heather Valentine works in our room. She's amazing, along with Michelle Leonard, who, if you haven't met Michelle, she's wonderful. She painted this painting here and I have it hanging in the reading room. And we also have Barbara Ellis, who's been working with us. She's transitioning more into math intervention, but she's trained in all of our reading as well. And I'm going to go back one. This reading room is a beautiful space that has just the beautiful hum of learning happening. When I started in August, this room did not look like that. It was full of boxes, and we have transformed it into the favorite room for so many in this school. It's got twinkly lights, beautiful places to sit and read, comfortable spots to sit in. And kids love to come in there and read. So wondering, how did we get here? Why do we need a reading specialist at Driftwood? Well, you can see the graph on the left is from this year's Nations Report Card. And the top here is our top performers, the top 90th percentile. And this is the average score on the NAEP for fourth graders in reading. And then this is the 10th percentile down here. And you can see the trend over time. And I don't have this here for us to look at all of the numbers. It's mainly for the trend. And you can see the trend is going down for reading performance in fourth graders. And what's most powerful for me is that our 10th percentile, they're the ones who are trending down the most. So those are the ones that we're focusing in on. Our high dosage tutoring is these students, because we want that trend to go back up. And this is another graphic from the NAEP as well. And this is showing percentage of students above proficiency over time. And this is this last year's assessment and 2019. So you can see that the trend is going down there as well.
These are national statistics, right?
Yeah, this is
Not
national.
those
Yeah.
aren't Port Order.
This is from the National Assessment for Educational Progress, done nationwide with fourth graders. Yes, thank you for clarifying. And then zooming in a little bit, looking at Oregon. We can see that in Oregon, this light blue over here represents on the NAEP performed significantly lower than the national public average. This medium blue color is not significantly different than the national public. And then 11 is performed slightly higher than the national public. So this kind of gives me a great, indicator of where we're performing on the national level. And I put this up I know this has all of the 50 states, but it really is powerful seeing where we are right now. And at least for Orford, I'm here to make that number. We're here to get it up. So interesting, just reading that I've been doing. Part of the thing that's gotten me into reading all of these is I started a master's in reading and literacy over the summer, and I'm getting my reading intervention endorsement. So I've been doing lots of reading and research, and you get to have the benefit of that and hear about some of the things I've learned. And then looking in, and this is another one that I found really interesting, COVID losses. This was a study that was published in the New York Times just last week, 2 weeks ago, and talking about the learning losses in classrooms in different states. And Oregon is about, our students from 2019 to 2024 have lost about a whole year's worth of learning in their reading levels in that time period. So, these are all the reasons that we have this intervention program going on. So on a national and state level. And then looking at Driftwood's needs, last year, Mr. Miller got these numbers out. He did a survey with teachers. Looking at this, you can see that English and language arts for Driftwood, 38% of our students were proficient. And this is this is not national, this is the OSAS, the Oregon State Assessment. For here, you've all seen this one, and I think Mr. Miller was telling me that some of the information's not quite accurate on all of it, but I just wanted to look at the ELA, 38% of our students proficient, and then math, 28%. Take that, and this is last year's iReady data. You can see we have still a lot of the reds and the yellows, and what those mean, how we read them as teachers is this dark green here. It's got kind of the hatch marks, I guess you would call it. Those are above grade level. The regular green would be at grade level. Yellow is 1 grade level below. And then the lighter red is 2 grade levels below. And then the red with the hatch marks through it is 3 or more grade levels below. So you can see that at Driftwood, we have definitely some room for growth in reading. And so the Title I reading specialist position came to be. And along with Title I funding, as I understand, Oregon's early literacy framework kind of came together with this. So that is truly intended for K through 2 students. And then combined with the Title I funding and school funding, this position's here. So the framework for the early literacy grant, I love this image. This is from the Oregon Department of Education's website that describes the framework. And you can see here the foundationals, community and family engagement, and then the things that we're working on up here. And for us right here, foundational skills, that's kind of where I'm working in my room, is intervention on those foundational skills. Classroom teachers are also working on the foundational skills, core instruction and assessment. And all of these they're all combined, they're related, it's what we're all doing. And so what does this look like in practice? Well, this is what we're doing now. We have dedicated time each day for instruction for all of these explicit systematic things that we're doing. We have practice for the students. The materials that we have, they're able to use them in their classrooms, in our reading room. They're able to use those to practice their foundational skills. And along with this program, we have access to decodable texts. And you may be wondering what decodable texts are, and I brought a couple examples of them. With our the funds that were available for this grant, we purchased over the summer decodable texts that match our Wonders curriculum for kindergarten, 1st grade, and 2nd grade. And decodable means that the stories in here match the skills that they've just been taught. So if I taught my kids long I vowels today, we're going to read a text that has long I vowels. And so they're going to be successful in that text. And every day, those kids are leaving our room and they have been successful in their reading, and it is beautiful. So looking at our program that Mr. Miller chose was called ECRI. And ECRI is a multi-tiered system of supports for reading. And what that means is the tiers mean that tier 1 instruction is instruction for everybody. Happens in their classroom, they all get the same thing. Tier 2 means it's intervention for students that need extra support. So they come to the reading room for that, or we have Miss Michelle or Mrs. Heather will go to the classroom and I'll explain that to you too, how we divide and do our instruction that way. And then tier 3 is those students who need support above the tier 2. And we have a few students that we're working with now, kind of starting that tier 3 intervention as well. So thinking about what all of these tiers are. And the main points for that is what we're doing is systematic and it is explicit. And that is what the program that we've adopted is one of these multi-tiered systems of support. It's called ECRI, which stands for Enhanced Core Reading Instruction. And within Enhanced Core Reading Instruction, these are the things that we're teaching. We're teaching phonological awareness, which is the sounds in words. Phonics, phonics is the sounds plus the written, so the orthographic, the phonological combined. And then we start working on fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. So all of those things combined. What our intervention students that are receiving the high dosage tutoring, they're getting a lot of the phonics and fluency right now. The vocabulary and comprehension comes in after we've gone through the initial stages of the ECRI program. And then this is one of my favorite pictures. Kathy Helgeson, who was hired as our literacy coach, shared this with me, and I've seen it in some of my work. But it's called the Reading Rope, and it was originally designed by Hollis Scarborough, I think in 2000. And he made this for parents to understand all of the different threads that go into reading. The top tier of it is word recognition, and then we have language comprehension. And so he originally did this with pipe cleaners so that parents could understand all of the different components, the threads that go into the different strands, and to understand that all of this is essential in order to create skilled readers. And so our focus for the intervention is this decoding, the phonological awareness and sight recognition of words. And without those, we would not have the skilled readers. We can be in our classrooms with fifth graders, sixth graders, seventh graders, and we're trying to teach them vocabulary, background knowledge, and language structures. But we're not going to get there unless we have these pieces in the stream, which is what we're doing in the reading program. And another great picture. This is from Kathy as well. ECRI, we call it, bless you, is from the University of Oregon Center for Teaching and Learning. It's evidence-based. Kathy has shared with me lots of, since I'm in this master's program, I'm like, do you have any research to back this up? And so she has been sharing with me some different research studies that were done on ECRI and that are still being done. She's been a great instructional coach. She came in the summer and trained all of us teachers on how to use it, how to implement it. She's come back a couple of times. She's come back twice, I think, since then. And then I'm able to contact her and work with her as needed. She's kind of on call. She's wonderful. She's been a great mentor throughout building this program. The ECRI materials are aligned with the Wonders curriculum that we've already purchased, so we don't have to purchase anything. The materials that the students see in the classroom, the words, the vowel teams are the same that they'll see with ECRI. So it's the same language, it's the same words, it aligns perfectly. And within this, we've also got a dedicated time throughout every student's day for tier 2, that extra intervention. It used to be called double dose, and it wasn't as explicit and systematic as this is. And because we have this now, this system, it's working really well across the classrooms. And having all of this is more support for our classroom teachers. They have a resource room full of reading materials, full of people that can help when they need extra help in the classroom or when they need support. So this is a great picture. It shows you what's happening. So in the classroom with ECRI, kindergarten, first and second grade, this is what's happening in those classrooms. There's the tier 1 instruction, which they have a daily ECRI lesson. And I brought a book and I can show you what that looks like, where they're doing the foundational skill, vocabulary and comprehension. That should be it's usually about 45 minutes to an hour. And then they also have within the classroom, they have small group instruction that's differentiated based on student need. So this is happening in the classroom. That's the tier 1. It all has to work together. And then where Mrs. Heather and Miss Michelle come in as we're doing the tier 2 intervention. So the key to all this is that it has to align. So the things that we're teaching have to be the same verbiage that they're hearing in the classroom. It completely aligns with the way we're teaching, the vocabulary that we're using, and they're used to the routine of it. They see it and they know it. And if you came in to sub for my class, they'd probably say, okay, start there. Now this is what we're going to do. We're going to say it, spell it, say it. Now we're going to read it. They know the routine. It's familiar and comfortable. And they're able to focus on the content rather than the routines that we're doing. So 60 minutes here, 30 minutes here, and then their tier 2 intervention is a 30-minute session as well. All right, and I just put this picture up because Kathy created a dashboard that all of us teachers use, and we love it. It's a place that she's got all of the resources that we need for intervention, very neatly organized that we can just have it bookmarked on our computers and go through, and we can scroll across, and she's got lots of resources. So it's a great asset for us teachers. And then our program, what we're doing, we call it What I Need, and everybody in the school knows it as a win. It's a win time. The way it started is before the school year started, when schedules were being made, 30 minutes was put in for win time for every classroom. So in the mornings, we start with 4th grade. At 8:30, the 4th graders know where they're going. Each and every student has a teacher or an aide that they are working with. At 9 o'clock to 9:30, kindergarten tier 1 comes to our reading room. It's beautiful. I think Mr. Miller's come in quite a few times. We have all of the kindergartners are in there, we're doing the equity routines on the board together and they're reading. It's beautiful. And then we have fifth and sixth grade work together. So those classes are combined. And then we have them into either 5 or 6 different groups, depending. So throughout the day, we have a schedule where 30 minutes, it is dedicated win time. And we don't miss a beat there. So what I want you to know also is that this is not just intervention time. Some of our students don't need intervention. So during that time, they're able to get the extension that they need. It is truly what I need. So if they are ready to move on, they're beyond grade level, that's where they're going. And that's typically with the classroom teacher. So that's what's happening there. So skipped one here. For screening for these guys, we at the beginning of the year, the universal screeners like the iReady, and we use the Dibbles test, which we're looking at their oral reading fluency, letter name recognition. We have different markers for different grade levels. And so with that data, and then I'm going in and doing some further screening with them. We're able to know exactly where they need to be within their groups. So they need extreme intervention. They're in a group where the lessons that we're doing are targeted exactly for what their needs are. And all of our students are in a group. It doesn't matter if you're general ed, if you're on an IEP, this win time is for all of our students. So we have 3 to 5 groups per grade level. As I said, 5th and 6th grade. I think right now they have about 5 groups. And this is a great picture of what's happening. So this is a 4th grade group that was meeting with me. I have keep saying equity books. So what they look like is we have a set of these books for every grade level, K, 1 and 2. And we might have 4th and 5th graders who are reading at that 2nd grade reading level or 1st grade reading level. And we're going in and we're meeting them where they need to be. We have the routines in these books. We know which lesson that we're going to work through. I could go through this is a kindergarten book. So, I might come in and say, what's the word? And they'll read it. My. You guys could do it. I could go through the lesson with you. After we've done the lesson, we get out a decodable book and they do some reading that matches what they've just practiced. They're successful in their reading. And when we're finished with that, they do some encoding, which means they write some of the things that they have just practiced in here. So we have all of the resources. It's flowing really well, and we're seeing lots of growth. So we're watching our kids grow. Every day, like I said, they are reading and they're succeeding. They're leaving the classroom and they have just read something and they are so proud of themselves. We track that daily just to we have daily reading logs that we make sure we're tracking where they are. We have weekly fluency and accuracy progress monitoring. And then we're looking at the mid-year data, which is what I have for all of you here tonight, and positive feedback from students and staff. I hope you're hearing it too, but I hear daily from the teachers, from students, my kids are doing great. She wasn't wanting to read in class. Now her hand is up all of the time. She's confident, she's proud, she's excited about reading. I have students who are coming and asking me, can we borrow this book and take it home to read? Will you make a copy of that so I can read it? I just sent a video of a student who was reading in my classroom. I recorded him reading so that he could listen to himself. I shared it with his classroom teacher and she shared it with the family. And today I just got an email back from them that they were so excited because he read a whole page. And at the beginning of the year, he couldn't read I Am Sam. That was a challenging one. So that's a huge success for our program. We have confidence, excitement, and students are interested in reading. So looking at the data, which is what you guys want to see. I think that Shane Brown passed some things out.
I did.
You gave me some. Okay.
Sorry, I didn't know you were doing.
The only one the only difference that it has is I think it's 7th and 8th on it. Those off of mine, so it's just a little bit different from what yours looks like. But again, this is the same format as the one that I showed you earlier. Here is the bigger line is the most recent already reading diagnostic. The one below it was at the beginning of the year. So what we're looking at is the growth, like we have green here. You can see that it looks like kind of in the middle there is that above grade level, and that's grown. So we're just looking for trends and growth in that reading. And this is whole school. This is the different domains for reading, phonological awareness, vocabulary comprehension. And those are the different domains that and the growth that's associated with each one. And over on this side, which you have on your paper as well, would be per grade level. And you can see it's kindergarten, would be the most recent data, and the icons up at the top tell you what those mean. And so you can look down and you can see, like, for instance, second grade, you can see that they have a small amount of the dark green at the beginning of the year, and that's grown tremendously. And so second grade, I'm looking at that, and our on grade level for those second graders has grown tremendously.
27 to 73%.
So, and I look, and I do want to say, put a disclaimer at the bottom, that moving those colors takes some work, because when you're 3 or more grade levels behind, trying to get to green, it's going to take some time to get there, but I think we're on the right track to get there. And then last thing, if I'm not taking too much time.
Can I interject
Yes,
real quick?
yes.
So Donna was this fantastic stuff the other day. And obviously, we wouldn't share this in a public board meeting. We can get a breakdown by student, and the individual students go. All but, I think, 2 students in the entire school did not show growth. So we had some that were testing out in the single digits and showing up in red, and while they're still showing up in red, are now showing like 80, 90. And so there's been significant growth even for those students who are in red. And I just want to point that out, that it's been phenomenal success so far in that regard, just on that individual, not just the class wide, but what we're seeing as far as individual student growth. And that's all credit goes to Dawn and her aides. So
Yeah, and the other piece I would add is the use of data here. That's a whole nother element to help our teachers be more aware and cognizant of where our kids are and what needs they have. And Title I reading specialist, as much as it's about reading instruction and kids learning, there, as you can tell, there's a lot that goes into the data mining and figuring out where kids are at. And the growth that you see here with colors is huge at every spot. But as Shane said, when you look at the individual scores, you see even more growth, because some of them may not have gone from red to yellow, but they made huge progress. And it's great for the instruction, the progress the kids are making, but I think it's also good to note that that data piece and how we utilize that information in our teaching and learning communities, our TLCs, is only enhanced, and it's because of the work that Donna's doing. It's everybody, yes.
All of us together. And I'm so thankful that I have the ability to do this. It truly is making a difference with our students.
And that one more thing, I just read that sentence, and that's the other thing that I keep thinking about when I thought about you coming to present, is that we've only been doing this since September. Just started this, and putting it in place takes some time at the beginning of the year and first year. So kudos to everyone involved.
Going great. It's a very happy room. It's a joyful room. So, but then we have math, and so we can see in math there is growth, absolutely, but we don't have a math program yet. So that's next, right? But you can see, and you all have this data as well. You can see the math growth, but I would say just by looking at it that the back and forth, our reading growth is more impressive. So anyway, so you guys like videos, right? But this is just.
Like the video.
Sorry.
Oh, you have your sound muted.
Oh,
Hearing something.
I think she has to be turkeys. Even our lives, it sounds.
They're just. They were, you give a kid, an iPad and they want to play on it, they will talk to you all day long. You put a camera in their face and they don't want to say anything. I kept asking all of these, students that were working with me, want to make a video? No. Just had a few takers and, they didn't want to watch me. They were like, you can take it, but we don't want to watch it. So that's how you do it. And then, I cannot advance my next slide. I think I'm almost done here, guys. So looking ahead, as Mr. Miller said, the heavy lifting is complete. We have our program pretty much set up. Now we're just fine tuning what we're doing. I'd like to continue building on the information that we got from the Title I survey, which involves our parents and pulling them in, parent advisory committees, getting more family engagement. We had a great night. Our first Title I night was a literacy game night at the beginning of the school year, where we had our Title I meeting. We had a game. We had raffled off games that were literacy themed. And we still play some of those extra games in our classrooms on Friday and have fun. We'd like to think about adding some more math groups. We have Miss Barbara Ellis is doing math groups with she has a first grade group, second grade, a third grade, and a fourth grade group that she's working with. But I'd love to be able to do that with more of our students as well. And I would invite you all to come by for a visit to the reading room and see it in action. The door is open. And that's it. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Amazing, Donna.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Thank you.
You have the math data in that, because I don't think I got that
I don't
one.
think I got it either.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just print out the reading,
Okay.
sorry.
Oh, that's reading. There's that. Yes.
I am really in awe of all the pieces that you have
Thank you.
pulled together in that organization just in the course of 1 year. Wonderful.
It has been really fun. I will say that the classes I'm taking have really helped me a lot too, and some of the things that I've, so a lot of work, and it is absolutely, there are a lot of great benefits from everything. I am so thankful for you all for allowing me to do this. It's really great. Thanks.
Thank you. I have one question.
Okay,
I have a question about the enhanced core reading instruction.
Okay.
Because in the presentation, you said that it's aligned with Wonders. Was it a program that's aligned specifically with Wonders, or is it a general based just on research and things like that, and it applies to several curriculums?
Okay, so that's a great question. So the University of Oregon, their Centers for Teaching and Learning, I think the woman's name is Carol, the last name, she developed this. So basically she came up with these routines that you would go through to teach the foundational skills, like irregular word reading and spelling, blending of sounds, doing affixes, prefixes, suffixes, contractions, and sound by sound blending, spelling, the different routines that go through it. And so they've taken that basic structure, the framework of it, and aligned it to Houghton Mifflin, to Wonders, to, I think there are 14 different curriculum that they have made specific programs for. So our books all say on them, please, that they are aligned to Wonders 2020, which is what we have. Yep, so they all say on them which reading curriculum it'll go with, and ours says aligned for use with Wonders 2020. And so if we changed our curriculum, we would have to get all new material for it. So In addition, I brought some samples. All of the classrooms were able to get the large down spelling cards, and teachers all have a small set. So we have these up on our walls in our classroom, and then intervention teachers have small ones. Kids love these. It shows you how you make the sound. But so these all are from the Wonders curriculum, and we use them, and they refer to them within our specific acting material as well.
Thank you. I was just wondering if teachers were having to spend time because, each reading curriculum sometimes has just a little bit different scope and sequence of how they introduce things and stuff. And so I didn't know if teachers were having to say, okay, I'm doing this in my curriculum, so now I got to find this in this
No,
book or
that's-
something like
you
that.
have it,
So
isn't it?
that's nice.
It aligns with every, curriculum that we have.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Don.
Yeah, and see if I can.
Okay, moving forward, we're at our reports section. And Courtney's not here tonight because the girls are playing in playoffs for basketball, of which I have a question to ask some school employee at some point tonight. It's not necessarily a school board thing, but I want to know the group showing, the community showing of the game tomorrow night. Is that something that you can also do from your home? Or is it something that the school is paying for to watch
So
the?
you have to have a login for that, NFHS site. If you have a login, yeah, you can watch from home. Mr. Stallard has a login. That's what we're gonna use to show it here. So,
Okay.
yeah.
And there is a small fee for that for the year. I want to say it's $40, but that gets you access to every single sport. We do not have that video system in our gym now or yet, but yeah, you can sign up for it and get it personally at your house, but that's how we're doing it here. So the whole piece, I don't know if there's anybody out in the audience, but 6 o'clock tomorrow night, our girls play a state playoff game up in Portland, and we will have that on video. We'll have it live streaming here at the high school at 6 o'clock. Concession stand will be open. It should be fun. Hope people can join us.
Sorry, I had to jump in on that. I know it's Courtney's report, but since she's not here, we'll discuss her.
We've got to
report
share
later.
that.
That's right.
That's a big.
Thank you so much for
Thank
coming,
you.
Donna.
Thank you. See you tomorrow.
Is there anything else happening with the students that?
I think it's part of my principal's report too, but we had a great homecoming week that the senior class put on, culminated with a great dance. That a fantastic DJ. And, both middle school and high school had dances that week. Was really one of the things that they were really intentional about, which I really appreciate, is they included driftwood in the dress up week as well. So we had driftwood kids dressing up every day and participating. And so it turned into more of a district celebration than just a PHS celebration. So the senior class really did a good job with that. Dance went off without a hitch. And just, it was a great week. So great spirit week.
Awesome.
It was great. And the games were really good too.
Yeah. Okay. Mr. Miller.
Okay, so you have you have my report in your packet. I have a couple of pieces to share. Under Aaron's work, next month, we'll have calendar options, recommendations from the calendar committee. So those will be coming your way. My initial district newsletter I shared with you at our workshop on Saturday. That'll be coming out officially on Monday to parents and the community. And then I did want to share that the bond work, after our discussion on Saturday, as we discussed, spring of 26 is looking like a better option for us in order to gather input and share information. So I'm changing my timelines to match that. And then obviously as we go through that, that's not set in stone. I'll continue to converse with you, hear where we're at, and let you know if any of that changes. The other pieces. I do want to highlight that we have, in addition to an event tomorrow with watching the high school state playoff game for the girls, we are having informational and input meetings for the community and parents coming up on Monday. It says May, it is March 3rd. It's correct in the literature that went out to the public. So Monday, March 3rd and Wednesday, March 12th, both at 6 o'clock. We are going to hold the same input meeting so that people have options for what they can attend. The one Monday, March 3rd will be here at the high school as their middle school basketball games. So trying to keep people in the same spot and not have to go back and forth. And then Wednesday, the 12th, that will be at 6 p.m. also. That will be at Driftwood. We are serving dinner each night for whoever shows up, trying to get as many people to come and give input as possible on what they think about potential facility improvements, and also get their input on integrated guidance, sharing the things that we're doing with our high school success and student investment account dollars, sharing what we're doing with our early literacy grant, which you heard we're seeing great payoffs already from that. That whole grant makes her position possible. It dovetails with federal money we get from Title I. Hopefully they don't cut that. But we have braided those two streams together to make her position possible, and it is obviously reaping some great benefits already. But getting input, sharing the good things that are coming out of our expenditures, and then getting input from the community and parents on their perspective on those same expenditures is a part of the process. I'll have a follow-up with community Wednesday, April 2nd. And in between those dates, I will also be working with staff at staff meetings and getting some input from students as well on their thoughts, continuing to pick your brain and get your input, and then put all that together for our next round of integrated guidance applications through ODE. Any questions on that part? Or anything else on the community meeting?
So, March 3rd, 6 o'clock
Yep.
here.
And then March 12th, 6 o'clock at Driftwood.
What is the integrated guidance schedule? Like, is there a time that the full big report has to be turned in again, or do those things just kind of filter in as you do them?
No, they're not filtered in. There's deadlines that are coming up. We've got to get everything in order with our guidance so that we can fill out those applications. I quite frankly could not tell you the date that it is due yet. We're ahead of the game, and this input will put us in line. Do you know the date?
I believe the application is due by June 30th.
So
Okay.
we've got plenty of time. We've got the processes in place to make it happen. I don't anticipate a whole lot of changes. The measures we've put in place are meeting need from our perspective, but gathering that input from everyone else is important. There still could be some changes. COPS grant update. We are still in limbo a little bit. It's another federal program. $150,000 for our security measures and the work that's supposed to be done at the front entrance of both of our buildings. We anticipate that things are going to continue to move forward. They did have their webinar that they canceled for a while, so we're on track. We are in limbo waiting for first expenditure to go through the process of being reimbursed. And then once that happens and everything's on board, we are also waiting for our project managers and the contractors that will likely bid and likely do the work to give us cost estimates and bids to see how much each of those projects is going to cost, see how much of it's 200,000 altogether because it's a matching grant. So 150 of their money and 50 of ours. So we'll see where those two big projects of finishing the front entryways land in terms of price. And then that will share with us how much is left over to do the other projects, which include security cameras and the front gate at the high school, redoing that whole piece, making it so it's an automatic gate that slides sideways. Our buses will not block the highway if the gates are locked. So those are the initial top priorities for that grant money. And then if there's anything else left over, then we go to further camera technology pieces, as well as some fencing and gate repairs to secure campus.
Okay.
So that's where we're at with that. On your district events, I believe that is an updated list of all the things that are happening with one exception. Thursday, March 6th, next Thursday, there is a bingo night at Driftwood. And I've got a flyer here. I can make you a copy if you need it, or you can just look at it. But Thursday, March 6th, from 5:30 to 7, we will have a community bingo night. It dovetails with Read Across America Week and Dr. Seuss's birthday. Again, we're going to have food and prizes and fun. And these have been events that have been very well attended and help us connect with the community even further.
What time does that start?
5:30 to 7 o'clock.
5:30, thank you.
Believe that is what I have in terms of my report. There were several items that I gave you at last month's meeting. And I did receive some written input via email on the strategic plan and areas to focus on. I was wondering if anyone else had something to share, and that Carol, if you wanted to get the highlights of what you did. Or if there's no comments, I'll keep moving forward with the work of putting those things together. There were several items. One was superintendent goals and evaluation. That's going to come up at our executive session when we're done with the regular meeting. There is the one-page strategic plan. And then there were the surveys, community, parents, and then the students. And the one other item was the lily pad document. And you had asked for me to follow up with that. So this is the lily pad document.
Right.
That refreshes your memory. And what I have for you is the first page. Yes, so the first page is a list of the work groups on the lily pad page that we are focusing on and the actionable items. Oh, did I give one that said Aaron on it?
No, that's what.
Okay, there you go. So it has actionable items for each work group and what they are focused on. And these are not ones that are directed from administration at this point. These are ones that have developed organically from the group. The second page is it's a draft. Some of those names have changed and some have been added to those groups, and I have not got them replaced. But just a little idea to show that all of our licensed staff, our teachers, as well as our instructional assistants, our office staff, our administrators, we are all working on this together. It is a shared leadership project and hoping to get to the point where we really impact students and what our staff are doing to help students succeed. They are definitely tied into how we prepare, navigate, and anchor our students. But just wanted to give you that information to look over as you had asked.
Thank you.
So that's the only other thing I have for my superintendent report is if you have any input or comments on anything other than the goals and the evaluation.
I can go ahead and share the strategic plan input, which I thought I really like that 1-page plan. It's just like you can get it all in your head. And I thought the metrics were really good. It seems like that covers the areas. I just had 2 additional metrics that I would like to see in some form. And one is, of course, math, since that's, even though it's not a state priority, I feel like as a board, being aware of how our kids are doing in math is actually a big equity access issue for, especially for our rural school. Judy and I have talked about that quite a bit. So I was suggesting to Aaron, I'm happy with any math metric, but maybe like a middle school, since that's a place that we still do state testing, perhaps grade 8. But that's something we could think about. And then the other area that I don't know how we measure it, but I would really like for us to be able to see some of it is what happens to our kids after they leave Pacific. So a couple years out, if they've enrolled in college or applied to college, are they still in college or are they working or I have a memory from, and this has been 20 years ago when I was first volunteering in here, that at that time, and it was a pretty scary number of students who like received scholarships to SWAC or to somewhere and never used them. Yeah. And it was like, oh, that's, it looks great, but then what are we not doing that's not helping them actually get out the door? So I'd like to think about that.
Having read those are things that I think are critical. Math is obviously one of those essential core skills, and it's not in one of the metrics that the state asks for in that integrated guidance report. We are perfectly fine to create a metric, a measurement that we use individually in our district. So if that is something that you would like to see, Carol's got good suggestions, but nothing happens from the board unless you collectively agree to it and share with me that that's what you'd like me to focus on. The other one I think is really tough, and it's on my list of items to figure out how we gather information, but the true test for me is those kids that I've had, as students when I was teaching or as students when I've been an administrator, they've graduated and then they come back when they're 25 or 30 and they tell you what they're doing. And all you do is hurt your face because you're smiling so much. Those are the things that really demonstrate success for us as a district, is what those kids are doing when they're not kids anymore. So if there's a way for us to figure out, it's easy to figure out the questions to ask in the survey, but how to get in touch with those people and who does that and how that ongoing information flow back and forth happens effectively. So it really gives you data to work on. That's a key. Because I had an individual meeting on some of these topics today, and Corinne and I were talking about survey results from parents. And we can look at the survey results, you have them there, they give us information, but if you look at the number, we only had 31 parents give input. So if you look at those percentages and think district-wide, a lot of those trends pan out and they're like statistics. Yes, we had a good sample and they pan out at the bigger numbers. A lot of them connected with what the student said, but there were some discrepancies too. And it depends on how many people are participating. So when we get that data from graduates.
Mhm.
If we only get it from a few that are doing successful and really want to share, hey, I'm doing great, that's one thing. But if we get the bigger picture of everyone, then we have that true picture of success and impact. But again, if they're just, you as a board want us to focus on and try and determine and add to our metrics that we look at. Or just add to the strategic plan and how what I put together and what our staff ultimately produces with kids is that meeting the goals that you have prepared? Does it all coincide?
Love to see the accelerated enthusiasm for math the same way that it has been encouraged for reading. Because that's what it feels like, is not only has it been more enthusiastic, but it's been more enthusiastic faster.
Okay, so I don't think I necessarily need a vote. But I hear unanimously that finding out a way to share our math data and have an expectation and a goal, just like we do for third grade reading or 4-year graduation, you'd like me to develop some sort of a system for that?
Say good luck on tracking the kids when they leave here. I don't know that that is realistic.
But the math piece, yes?
Absolutely. I do worry like how much time we spend trying to track down kids that
Yeah,
don't want
yeah.
to be tracked down or don't want to tell.
Right.
That's my only thing is I'm like, there's nothing we can necessarily do that's completely relying on it.
Mhm.
To get other people to give us information. I don't know.
Yeah.
There, this might be jumping ahead. So there is some information out there. These colleges can track, okay, what high schools, who from what high school applied here. So for example, this is actually what I just passed out to everybody ahead of the meeting here. This is from Southwestern Oregon Community. It gives you an idea of how our students do at Southwestern Oregon Community College after.
Yeah.
Now, I want to state, this is not a school-wide report card. This is how the students who came from Pacific to Southwestern Oregon Community College did at Southwestern Oregon Community College. I think there's some bright spots and definitely some areas where we need to look at growth. For example, on page 3, those two on the far right there, 100% of our students re-enrolled after their first term at Southwest, compared to 5% drop in districts in our region that send people to SWAC as a whole. So that shows some resiliency. And then right below that, the average GPA for that first term. Pacific students are outperforming. Not necessarily worried about the number of credits. I have no idea how they're tracking that. I really doubt that so many students are taking 25 credits their first year. I'm not sure what the deal is with that. But if you look at the number of credits that are matriculating and things like that into the school,
The only thing I can think of is I wonder if they are including dual credits they've earned in high school. So if they already have 12 credits leaving high school and they
Yeah.
take a full, or they have 13, and then they take a full load of 12, that could get them to 25 after their first term, but that would not be an accurate count of what they did that first term at SWAC, right?
but some of this information, by even SWAC, Stephanie, when they handed this out to the principals at our principal summit, they realize this. It's kind of, you gotta read between the lines. So for example, the percent of matriculants who completed Gateway Math prior to regular enrollment, it shows we had none. That's because all of our students who took Gateway Math, in other words, dual credit math prior to enrollment, didn't go to SWAC. Universities. So, so there's some data that's just not looking, you got to take a lot of things into consideration, but my big things are the resiliency, in other words, re-enrollment after that first term, which is always sort of a reality check for some of our students. We had 100% re-enrollment and our GPA 4 of those students outperform the other districts in our region, which I think speaks a lot to the prep they're getting here. Not that there's not work to do, but it'd be great to get this type of information from Oregon State, from U of O, from OIT. And to see that, I know there is some tracking that they do for post-secondary education as far as, you know, I'm not sure if they break it down by high school, but okay, what percentage are re-enrolling after that first term? And there's some other data out there like that, but that's what was shared to us from Southwestern.
I think this is great. That's like a really nice piece of exactly what I was wondering about.
Shane read your mind.
Yes, really good. Thank you.
I'm kind of thinking a little bit about the, follow up after they have moved on to college, and not really like a data thing, but it might be interesting as an informational thing if we were even able to just come up with a couple of questions and when the classes have their class reunions. Because class reunions are still kind of a thing around here, and at the 10-year reunion, they've gone through their college years. Their college years are not usually within the community, it's at the college and stuff, but they've gone through their college years, they've had a few years out in life on their own, and maybe that would be a time to say, how do you feel your high school experience prepared you for being part of your community or something like that? And the answers may not be statistical, but it would give us maybe
Something.
idea,
A peak.
So maybe we could think about something like that, just as general information.
Mm-hmm.
Are there like official reunions that are held here?
Mhm. A lot of,
Facilities are available to discuss something.
it's usually at Hogfield.
Well, that's where I'm thinking of those reunions. I thought that was a move.
Sometimes at the Cheesecake Factory, a lot of the ones like us, Cheesecake Factory.
Did they do multi-year one and stuff?
Yeah, they do.
Some schools do. And put up a call and everybody.
Fire.
Yeah.
I wonder if they had data.
Well, they would have at
All
the time,
class
yeah.
reunions. Parents always went to them, they called them no class reunion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I too support doing something about math, because from my perspective of things that I have read in trying to prepare like our summer Ready, Set, Learn program and things like that, a lot of times math is more likely to keep you out of continuing college than any of the other subjects.
It is the one, and that's why they have it in those statistics in South Oregon. That it's the one class that kids usually have to do a prerequisite that doesn't count for their credit. Once they get to college.
Remediation.
Yes.
At least one.
So I will work with Shane and we'll figure out what grade level makes the most sense to track that, and then we'll see where we're at with initial data on performance on that metric, and then we'll develop goals on how we push that forward and grow. And that will give us 6 metrics in our integrated guidance piece that we're going to follow, as opposed to just the 5 that ODE has for us. That work?
Excellent.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you.
And what grades do they do math like in the state testing?
They're third, is it fourth? No, fourth is NAEP, and
It's,
we get assigned
I think it's 3rd.
3, 8, and 11.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing, but we'll have to talk, but I'm guessing we're going to be looking at an 8th grade metric for math. We want them proficient in math before they head to high school.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's the same kind of statistics. The statistics are really solid that, if you're reading proficiently by 3rd grade, your chances of graduating are pretty solid. I don't know if there's a similar
There-
metric
there
for
are.
math, but
There is state testing. I know it's each year of middle school for math, so there's some data that come up there as well. I have to look at the elementary.
I think they do math every year up to 8th grade. At least that's what they used to do.
Yeah, I think it's 3rd through.
3 through 8 and then 11.
Yeah.
If it's 3 through 8, I just would like to throw it on the table of maybe it being grade 6 or 7. And my thought process for that is that right now with the requirements that we have for high school math, if we wait until 8th grade and they're behind, then there's not much time to do intervention to give them much hope at the high school level. And so if we did it like at 6th or 7th, it would at least,
I would
Give
almost
it
even
to-
say 5th and 6th. Because as a parent of a child who just went through that, that's where we struggled the most and where other parents had the same conversation. That was when things started to change for the kids, and that's when you can kind of, I don't know.
yeah, and that 4th and
Better
5th grade
to
year
catch
is
it
a
right when they're
major.
starting to have that trouble.
Yeah.
And also, if the kids are going to be in a school setting that has multiple teachers, we want to catch them.
Yes.
Maybe when they have a little bit more ownership with one teacher in that relationship and get them ready to get into that. I guess it's just a bigger,
Yeah.
it's not.
Okay. All right, we will report back to you. It might be next month, it might be the month after that.
Okay. And I didn't give any input on this. I thought we were gonna be like discussing it. at
Well, we
some
certainly
point, so-
can. It's
So
open for
anyway.
that, but I just was sharing that there were some
Yeah.
people that came in and talked or sent an email. And that was their input. Anybody have something more on any of the others? Being open for discussion.
Okay. Mr. Brown.
All right. Well, I'm gonna add a little bit to that discussion because my notes, I was wanted to share out some data from Driftwood regarding seeing as far as the diagnostics regarding reading. Makes sense that even though we haven't been able to target math, we've got reading Title I down, that we've already seen a little bit of growth in math because you can't solve a math problem if you can't comprehend the question. And so I think we started exactly where we needed to start. Just adding my 2 cents to the conversation is part of what I wanted to say in my report is I think the next logical step for our Title I supports at Driftwood is to see if there a platform like ECRI was for reading. Is there a math intervention support platform that we could seek out and have some PD on and integrate just like we did ECRI? I think that's something we would, is the next logical step for that. And so that's what we're doing there, but just want to echo just what's already been said. Just we're seeing on those diagnostics just speaks really well to I think the future success of our students across the board. And I think we're going to see that bubble kind of come on up. We're seeing recovery from that COVID bubble. We've had these students in person every year, getting that instruction from our great teachers. And we're seeing that if you look at our K through 2 data, that is just awesome. We're seeing growth in all of our grades, but you can see where we've been able to offer that instruction in person. Getting back to what we did, we're seeing some great stuff. And so as far as the rest of some things at Driftwood, we are looking, it's a change for both Driftwood and Pacific, but we are still looking at making steps looking 6th grade up here to the high school. Some of our next steps are to engage with the community at these community engagement nights on the 3rd and 12th. And also to hopefully meet with parents of this year's 5th graders specifically to address what concerns they might have. I can share that some of the things we're already looking at is building a schedule that would keep middle school in one hallway most of the day and high school in the other hallway. most of the day. It's a small building, there's going to be some back and forth, but especially sixth grade, we worked out a schedule that looks like we can pretty much keep them in one hallway all day, rotating between 3 classrooms. We've also worked out a schedule that would separate the lunch times for both middle school and high school. So we've worked out a schedule where the high school is at lunch, middle school is in a homeroom, or middle school is at lunch, high school's in a homeroom. Has benefits for everybody because that high school homeroom time is where we can do surveys, we can do our SEL lessons, we can do class meetings, and allow that to just sort of happen on a daily basis, rather than setting aside a specific, well, we're having class meetings today, and here's a class meeting schedule. It's in homerooms, this is what you're talking about as a class. And so it gives us some flexibility for that. The reason for moving sixth grade up, I think it satisfies a couple of different things. First and foremost, it gives us a space in Driftwood to implement our wellness room. And you see on my report, we did send a team to Salem Kaiser. They observed the wellness room there. They reported out to our staff at Driftwood on what they saw and how we're looking at implementing a similar model. So the safeguards that are in place from it turning just a place where our kids just want to be regarded instead of being in class. No, there's a structure, there's a time limit, you learn the routines, you're in and out in 15 minutes, you regulate, you get back to class. And so looking at building some skills there that are also going to help them be more successful here. But this would give us that space there. It also gives us all our middle school instruction happening under one. So for example, our science curriculum that we have adopters for grades 6, 7th, and 8th. We have sixth grade being taught in one building, 7th and 8th, whereas now we could possibly have a more cohesive flow to some of that middle school curriculum, have all the middle schoolers in one building rather than sixth grade, maybe not being able to do some of the things, the same things that 7th and 8th grade does. And so that's what we're looking at. Some of the challenges, space. The space up here, we're going to be kind of busting at the seams here in a few years. If our enrollment keeps up where it is, we will have 5 extra lockers in this building. And so, but that's a problem that's easy to fix if we overdo it on the lockers. But space wise, we can pull it off, and it also gives us some flexibility with some things as well that I'm looking forward to. And so, we're hoping to have a final decision on that no later than spring break, going into spring break, being able to say this is what we're going to do. We just want to, engage the community with some fidelity. As much as I've talked it up, we want to hear the community's concerns. We want to address any of the community's concerns, staff concerns. With our shutdown for our 2 days of illness last month, that took my high school, my PHS staff meeting, and I want to have some time to discuss that with the staff here and get their input and their take. Driftwood staff came with the thumbs up for the most part. But I want to have that conversation with our staff here as well. And so, but barring some really serious issues that are brought up, it's probably gonna be something we want to move towards. But we want to reserve a final decision until that engagement is done. So, and so that was pretty much it regarding Driftwood. As far as here at Pacific High School, just want to, we got some great things going on as far as some opportunities for our students. The Wildland Fire class that had 1 student last year has over 10 this year. The feedback on that was really good. A lot of students were really interested. So it's a career path that they're getting some exposure to there. We've also looked at work experience. We have that back up and running. There was a bit of a hiatus there. I understand that was done in this district previously, but it hadn't been done here in a few years. And so it's one of the things that our Friday schedule allows us to do. Prior to the Friday elective schedule, it was really hard to find a spot where a student could leave school, travel to a work experience, be back by their next class. Friday being all electives, that's now an option to where if you don't want to be here and take electives and you have a work experience opportunity.
That's another elective.
Have at it. So we worked up a contract for every 62 hours of work experience time. They get 1 semester's worth of credit. And so We're tracking that. We have contracts that the students, the business, and the parents and myself all sign, spelling out the obligations. Primarily, if they don't show up, we need to know about it, and to make sure that, because that would basically be an absence at that point, unexcused absence. And so far, we're seeing some great things, some great feedback from the students so far on that. We have one student who's doing their work experience at Driftwood as an aide. We have another student who is at the public library, volunteering their time there. And then we have two at other businesses. I pitched it to Rotary when I took our students of the month there on Thursday. I already have a number of businesses who said, oh yeah, we'd love to participate in that. The board is interested in offering that as an option. And Road Community Credit Union is also interested in offering that as an option. So what I'm hoping to have is a list of businesses who are willing to participate with us on that. If a student comes and says, I'd like to do work experience, great. What are you looking at as a career option? Here's a business that aligns with that. Here's some exposure to that. And so it's another way that we're able to kind of expand the opportunities for our students. Speaking of Road Community Credit Union, they're going to be sort of our community partner, a business partner for, I list it as an alternate CTE course of study. I want to change it. It's an additional CTE course of study. Mr. Jones, his CTE course of study is pretty much kind of shop, sort of that woods, metals, trades sort of course of study. We'd like to expand the course of study to include business management. We have some staff internally that are interested in doing that, but we need to do our due diligence and post that internally before any announcements as far as who would take that on. The Road Community Credit Union has already signed on to be sort of our business partner, which we need to have to be able to offer that. And so we're looking at starting next year, beginning to implement a 3-course series of study for business management. And so, again, an additional option for some of our students. And if they were to get into that Road Community Credit Union, would love to have some of those students do work experience there and sort of increase their exposure there. Other than that, like to share out, we have a number of college visits scheduled. Not only is Trio taking some of our Trio students to various colleges, but Shayla, who's our college and careers guru, has some trips planned. In fact, we even have an overnight trip planned second week in March. We're going to be taking them about 4 or 5 different campuses and giving some students some exposure to those. We are and this is our busy time as far as college applications and scholarship applications. I'm really happy to report we already have a number of students that have been accepted to some of the colleges of their choices, including Oregon State, OIT, U of O. So the future's looking bright for a number of our seniors. And big kudos to Shayla for helping guide them through that process. But we'll continue to guide them through that, and also a number of trade internships that people are interested in, being able to point them in the right direction. And so that's off to a really great start for the senior class, and hopefully we're going to have some more to report in the future. So, but other than that, we go back to Driftwood. Part of some things that were planned as a part of our groups that are signing up for lily pads as far as community engagement. We were able to host lunch with loved ones at Driftwood the week before last, the week of Valentine's Day, where parents were able to come in and have lunch with their kiddos. I think our K through 3, I think we had about 160 people in that cafeteria. It was a stretch. It was a great event. Parents love coming into the school and kind of seeing things. We were able to get some stuff out of our lost and found table, which was great. And then we also had our 4 through 6 on a different day, and was also pretty well attended. So, and feedback on that from the parents was really good. So it's something that thank that committee for working on and sort of getting our community into the school. So, any questions?
Thank you for lunch with loved ones.
Yeah.
So which one of your late path crews was responsible for taking the leadership on the?
Lunch with loved ones?
Yeah.
So that was the intentional community engagement group.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And then the Universal Practices Group, their implementation is the PBIS work, the Positive Behavior and Intervention Support. They've had that program in place.
Which group is that again?
Universal Practices.
Oh, yeah.
The idea was to come up with consistent rules and such at Brookwood and make sure the staff are on consistent, and they've had that in place. They had all the paperwork, but they hadn't gone through the training for a while. So we had our first session a couple of weeks ago, and we'll continue on through the year and should have everything re-upped and reviewed and ready to go for next school.
Which one was it?
That would be continuous improvement practices, intentional professional development, and then that also has come together with universal practices.
Didn't mean to gloss over this, but I also passed out sort of a diagnostic from high school. ELA is on one side, math is on the others. And so this is from a diagnostic platform called IXL, something we're just getting this year. I would say that's professional development. I think our inexperience with that platform is showing on some of these results, especially with the 11th and 12th grade on that math one. So that's something. Make sure, we shouldn't have such a large section of our student population that's not paying. We got what's wrong with that. So to move the needle on a lot of these kids, since this was our first round of that IXL diagnostic, we'll be able to report out what the growth looks like in the months going forward. And nail down why that 11th and 12th grade just lacking off that IXL diagnostic.
Vanished from your.
So. But you can see it's laid out pretty much the same way the data from iReady was as far as the same sort of coding. And there's a legend right there above grade level, at grade level, slightly below, significantly below. And then that gray is for some reason not pinpointed. So we're looking to just tighten that up. Quite frankly, trying to just get the kids to buy into these diagnostics with us. I look at the individual results, I'm kind of shaking my head. We've got students who walk around with 500-page novels that they read religiously. And, they're coming back and supposedly reading at a second grade level. So I'm not sure if that's just diagnostic and testing fatigue, that they're just not giving it their all, but we need to figure out a way to sort of create buy-in and say, hey, we really want to know where we are on this. And so I think there's a lot of factors we want to look at there. Other than that, any questions?
I have a question, and I think you've told us this before. I just don't remember. The Wildland Fire class, is that at school? Is that an elective on Fridays? How is that actually taught?
That is actually taught Monday through Thursday. And
Okay.
they come into the school, they provide the instructor, we provide the space.
Okay, so it's actually a during school class that
Uh-huh.
students sign up for. Okay.
Yeah,
Awesome.
it's typically offered during
Okay.
second semester because first semester we're still on the tail end of busy fire season.
Right. Oh, yeah, that.
So it's really great. They can actually graduate out of that class with certifications that allow them to go to work for the Forest Protection Service immediately. And they'll actually hire some of our kids right out of that program to work over the summer.
That's amazing. And then the other question I had is on the college visits, are those seniors or are those juniors going?
Yes.
Or both? Both.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Great answer. I like it.
I had a question about the sixth grade moving to the high school, and that you're going to be talking about that or receiving input on that on your community meetings. And so I'm wondering, because communication is a big topic with parents. Has there been a letter going out to at least those fifth grade parents that will be one of the topics discussed at that meeting and encouraging their attendance or?
Yeah, we'll be sending home a letter specifically with those fifth grade parents saying, hey, we want to hear from you, especially on this. But we also have flyers that have been printed up that we'll be sending out via Remind and posting to Facebook as well. And we'll definitely certainly mention this is something specifically we want some feedback on some of those nights, in addition to things that Aaron has discussed too. Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, that was my question. Any others?
Have a small notice or the observation that this on your 11th grade only shows a small size of 5 when you have 9, so it's
Yeah.
reflecting only,
Yeah. And I think that's where the issue with that is that we have some of our students, especially some of our juniors, who actually aren't taking math this year because they've already done 3 years worth of math. The seniors have typically, hardly any of our seniors are taking math this year. And since these were diagnostics given in math class, that was sort of one of the,
not
as
as
we looked at the data, we're
accessible.
like, okay, that's where we had gaps. We need to figure out a way that even if you're not in the math class, we want you to take this math diagnostic so we know where our 12th graders are at. And so, yeah, and so we had some our juniors and seniors who were enrolled in math, but the dual credit opportunity for that math went away. They just wanted to do some other things instead. So we worked their schedules to account for that. They just picked out math because they were interested if it wasn't dual credit.
Okay. Moving forward, was there any questions about the transportation and maintenance report, which was part of the packet? Are there any questions about the technology report, which is part of the packet? Are there any questions about the financial report?
I did have one question, and this, since Tara's not here, this can maybe wait. But it looks like our ending fund balance dropped significantly from last month, and it looks like it's in that other category, that there's suddenly a lot more from other, and I just wasn't sure. I assume that's probably transferred out of like where we have overage and some of the special funds, but I'm sure Tara knows.
Okay, I was trying to find the sheet.
Yeah, so it's that,
So Tara would have a more complete answer. We were talking and our actuals for payroll are coming in
Yeah.
a little higher and more accurate. We don't have as many positions that we don't have filled. So we're expanding those. I know that's one area. And that's likely to go down again next time as
Mhm.
we encumber the rest of our salaries
Mhm.
and payroll costs. Is there a specific line item?
that, the line item that I was looking at is the 600,
600,
the
okay.
other. I think that's the one that jumped up from last time. I was trying to compare. And then Tara will just know, so. And I think she had told us there was something that needed to transfer from like the 200 funds into the general fund.
Yes.
And I suspect that's it.
It's that 163,000 in received as of January 31st, 25th in that column.
Mm-hmm.
That expended number.
Yeah.
So we are projected to zero out that category, but I don't know what the other.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry. We have an answer for that in March.
Okay. And I'm moving forward to new business license staffing recommendations.
Okay, so in your packet, we have recommendations, licensed teachers. Ones that we are recommending to renew. And as of this point, we are, and this is the final point for doing that this school year, we are recommending that all teachers renew.
And does this need a motion?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
This is what has to be done before.
Okay, this
May,
is that, right?
March. Yeah.
All right, well, I will make a motion that we approve the licensed staffing recommendations as presented in this February 19th memo.
Okay, I have a first and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, I'll call for a vote. All of those who approve the recommendations as presented, please raise your hand. It's unanimous. Okay, we're moving on to the administrative staffing recommendations.
Make a motion to approve the administrative staffing.
I will second.
Okay, I have a first and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none. Oh, there is some. Okay, and I'm gonna interrupt just before you start talking because part of my thing is to make sure we all stay legal, as all of us have a responsibility. So we are talking about personnel, so we cannot talk specifically. So remember when you're asking a question or we're discussing that we cannot mention personnel individually. Okay, all right, Bob.
Just because we approve the renewal extend doesn't mean we're excluded from any consideration of adjusting responsibilities, is there? Adjusting assignments.
No, those are all
That's-
decisions up
that's
to
at
us
the administrator,
administratively.
yeah.
Yep.
That's all I want to know.
Okay. All right, so I have a motion and a second to approve the administrative staffing. Any further discussion? All of those who approve, please raise your hand. Okay. Unanimous?
When your dad says he has something to say about it.
Well, you noticed it jumped right in there, Shane.
Exactly what I thought the discussion was.
Okay, we're gonna move along to budget committee members.
Okay, budget committee members, you have that document in your packet also. You all five are members of the budget committee, and then what we strive for is to have 5 members to match you from the community. We have 3 at this point. We have posted and tried to get other people to join. At this point, we have no one interested.
To get some,
Yes.
I can send something to Facebook, it didn't add in the paper. Got the word out, but we can push a little bit hard, so we can still have until next month to.
We'll keep working on that, but if no one else does apply and then be appointed by you at the next meeting in March, then we will likely move to that process with just the 8 of you and go from there.
Have we recruited at Rogue? Since they're gonna help us with business management?
You're all able to call and ask.
Go do that, Carol. Okay.
So that got it.
You notice I kept my mouth.
That's so much smarter than I am, Judy.
From you, I'm saying.
Is this Diane Larson the same lady who does the books for the comic book?
Not sure. I mean, how many could there be in town? It probably is. So.
That's why I wondered. I figured there's probably not a lot of Dianas in this.
think there's that many people that do books in general in school either.
Because otherwise I would have thought, okay, I'd go check with her, see if she'd be interested. She may already be on.
Okay. I'm gonna move forward with the school board timeline update and review. And superintendent evaluation check-in, evaluation documents distributed. So do we have those ready to distribute?
Well, that's the thing we need to talk about. How do you guys want to handle this? Because the last time you talked at the executive meeting, Aaron went through all of his goals, his strategic plan, et cetera. But we didn't really come up with a method that, how are you going to evaluate it? And I can pass up what we did last year. If you guys want to see that. And what we did last year is we had an executive session where you all shared your individual opinions of these different standards. And I don't know if that's how you want to do it again this year, how you guys want to do it, and if Aaron had any thoughts, or if he's even allowed to.
I think after we went through the workshop with, I'm gonna forget her name. With OSBA.
Janet.
Janet, thank you. I believe the process is that you all can and should provide individual comments and scoring on my evaluation. And then you collectively, as a board, discuss those to come up with your recommendation for what the score is.
That's what we did.
And the
Mhm.
overall comments that come from you as a complete board. I don't get, and actually don't really want, all of each individual person's specific comments, but what I do get is the overall board performance review with scores and whatever comments you come up with collectively.
I think we had, and I think I have a copy, because I think we actually handed it out.
I'm not sure what the evaluation.
It's out of the superintendent.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's the standard.
the standard pack,
Right.
yeah,
We didn't want to reinvent the wheel.
right.
Yep.
Right. So we each went through this on our own and then turned numbers into Stephanie, who just compiled an unnamed matrix.
That's what we
Yeah,
did. Yeah.
okay, perfect.
And we
Then-
met together.
And we met together in executive.
Aaron was not in there.
Right,
So should we set a deadline for getting this turned into Stephanie?
yeah,
Because the deadline for his evaluation is May 15th, so we still have a
we're not in a panic. Okay,
process. We need to decide what that's gonna be.
We probably want time to be able to meet again right after we do ours. So-
Yeah, because we need to meet together and come up with what we
Yeah.
have as a group so that then it can be presented to Aaron.
mhm,
So wouldn't it make sense that we do our individuals before the next board meeting? So maybe the
Yes.
next board meeting, we could set.
Just why I was
I think that's
thinking, do we
perfect.
want to establish a deadline for us to get our data turned into Stephanie?
Yes.
mhm,
Just
That's
set the
timeline.
stage.
mhm.
Timeline would work if you did your individuals before then, and then at the next board meeting, you have an executive session
Yeah.
to discuss them and
Mhm.
develop your cohesive.
Mhm.
So that she's
Perfect.
not, so she's not pounding the keyboards midnight before the meeting. We should,
And then you would have until, and that would be your March meeting, you could compile. And then
Mhm.
you'd still have April and May in
Mhm.
theory to put it all together as a final report and share.
My one, I feel like we might need more time than the executive session would allow. I think that we should talk
That's a
about,
very good point.
just because these meetings do kind of run late and going at 3 o'clock isn't an option for me. I'm gonna just say that.
I think having a Saturday
Um,
workshop to do that.
I mean, or whatever works for everyone's
Mhm.
schedule, but
It's fine with me.
That makes.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good idea.
like 8:30. I need to sleep by
Have you-
8. So.
Say,
Have you tried-
my bed.
Have you tried, have you tried Snickers? or-
4:30. But I don't know, yeah, whatever works for everyone's schedule, but I do think that it would take a little more time and then we could be in better moods to give you a better. presentation.
I really does.
If not, work for everyone else, but I don't know.
No, I think that's a good idea,
That's
Angel.
fine.
Yeah.
It
I
should be
agree.
intentional. This is not something
Yeah.
to be taken lightly.
Yeah.
Okay,
So if, okay, so our school board meeting for March is on the 10th.
So it's in 2 weeks. Yeah.
Intent, yeah.
So if we gave ourselves a week to get it turned in to Stephanie, was that?
That's fine with me. I don't know if it's fine with you, but yeah.
So if we task ourselves to have our individual results turned into Stephanie by the 3rd, is that?
third's a little early for me and then I can make it happen, but if we are having a work session instead of an executive session, I mean, our
Then
work
you
session
wouldn't
will
have to
be
have
an
it.
executive, then it doesn't have to be done by the 10th.
So we could turn in at the 10th and
We could
then
turn it
have,
in on the 10th.
Oh,
a-
she
have a
would-
work session.
She would
Yeah.
and she would compile it between the 10th
compile
and the work.
Yep.
session.
Yep.
That'll work.
So then we should probably schedule a work session while we're all, right?
Okay.
If that's possible.
So should we say then we will have our individual assessments into Stephanie by the 10th?
Yes.
I think that works.
You guys want to do a Saturday again, or do you want to try for an afternoon? Whatever you guys want to do.
Doesn't matter to me.
Well.
How are you with
we're getting kinda
afternoons?
Close to spring break, so how about early April, April 5th?
Do we have a, would a mid to late afternoon thing on the 5th work?
That might be hard because that is sports time. Thinking more mornings. It's not soccer.
We
soccer
don't
time.
know.
They're
Like,
usually,
Sign up, then they tell you for it.
well, they start April 5th. But, or what about afternoon on Friday? Ooh, the 4th?
Fourth won't work for me.
Okay,
Professional development.
okay.
So maybe
And trying to do it before spring break, like later that week of the 10th, is there a possibility there? Or is that still encumbered?
I think that would be, if Stephanie had enough time. Does that give you enough time?
it's fine.
So the 15th of March?
I think that's good
Saturday?
for me. Mhm.
Saturday, the 15th? No. I'm sorry. I have a health appointment in Portland on the 14th, so I'm driving home on the 15th, so I won't be here that day.
Yeah, and I travel for.
But the 28th.
I travel, that's still spring break.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, you're probably leaving. I was gonna say, what about earlier that week, like a late afternoon session? Like I don't know how long it's gonna take Stephanie to compile, but like the 12th through the 13th, it's towards later in the day, no go. Okay,
Basically, that week is totally out. for me.
okay.
What about like,
I could do something on like the 19th or the 20th.
do the 19th?
we also have a Portland Health thing on the 18th.
Okay,
Yeah.
We are committed to being back into school on the 19th.
I have a health thing on the 19th in Roseburg, but it's 30, so I could maybe be back by 6.
what about like April 3rd,
April.
Thursday?
I will be arriving back the day. So
Okay.
while I go, I don't know how much of myself I can.
Could you have that birthday
Just
thing?
schedule this. What about April 10th? Let's jump.
We're back there.
Good, because you guys don't even have to worry about my schedule. That would really mess things up.
Yeah, you'll be in your baseball season again, won't you?
That brings
Well,
us
I'm
back
not
to
allowed that.
No,
That
it's a
workshop.
Thursday.
Oh, so
Yeah.
Just- Seems like Saturday's kind of busy.
So April 10th, late afternoon is what you're saying?
Yeah, anytime after 4.
I'm good.
Thursday, the 10th at 4.
Okay.
What we've got?
Oof. Maybe we should schedule Aaron's 2026 review right now.
There you go. Get it on the books.
Okay, wow.
So how can we be talking about April?
Yeah, we said,
It's like
Where did the
basically
year
March.
go?
Well, because March is almost done
oh my
already.
God, did we say 4 o'clock?
Yes. Okay, so Stephanie, you'll be able to send out the document to us through email. Is that acceptable to everybody?
Yeah, it's the same, there's like yeah, it looks like. If you can't find it, I'm sure I got it. I'll send that. And I think all you need is the numbers from us. You don't need the full.
I'm just asking a question because I do that a lot.
Yes,
Since you have that printed version right there,
Uh-huh.
is there a reason why we can't just
Oh.
put it on the copy machine and make copies right now?
You don't need this full.
Killing another dozen trees.
Another thing I will share with you, schedule wise, that's gonna come up, but is not set yet. Supposed to have an initial meeting with both classified and teachers on negotiations.
Yeah, it's all on there.
And I was gonna do that initial piece with them, on my own, but after that, we'll be sitting down to talk, and so I'll be talking with those of you that are on the, negotiation team for that piece, for license negotiation and classified negotiation. And then I will also be working with confidential, which you've already approved their contract, and admin to develop their contract. So I'll have that in front of you for some point. The ones that you guys are involved with are licensed and classified. Others I work on, bring you the recommendation. Review.
Okay. And make sure I've got that on my. So, I had one thing we don't have any policies, so we're going beyond first reading. We've done second reading. I'm at board comments. And I know that Stephanie is making copies over there, but if I'm looking at our budget committee paper correctly, it sounds like Corinne, Carol, and I are coming to an end of our term. And so do we have to go and register to be put on the ballot again this year? And can you tell me what the date is?
Yeah.
It should be a filing deadline.
To the county and I'll call and find, but it should be coming out soon. The election's in May, I believe, so.
Mhm.
But they're aware that you're all up for reelection, so. I'll get that.
But that is, I believe that is, as board members, as individuals, it's your individual responsibility to, get the application in and everything, so,
Yeah.
yes.
Want to make sure. Any advance?
Yes.
It took me all of 5 minutes to fill the paperwork out.
Yeah.
But
Did you have to directly or can you?
I don't know if you can do it.
It's online.
Okay. I work down there, so I went.
I'd go down there to file the paper and pay the fee.
Just then
Didn't have to go?
Mailed it. And
Oh,
Did it all.
Okay, good to know.
Okay.
Oh, that's it. I'm really good somewhere.
Okay, then is there anything else that anyone else wants to comment or say or discuss?
Like to add a comment about how our Title I reading specialist was greatly leveraged by grading funding, and how I think that that's a great way to keep a quality staff member. You know, that our hiring practices be challenged in one of our goals. I really want to give kudos just for, I think that that was a great way to leverage a lot of things to really utilize somebody who's familiar with the school, children, and the current curriculum. I appreciated her coming in, and I'm really grateful for that role in school.
And those funding streams are also the streams that supported the mentor that she's working with, Kathy Helgeson, who is also indirectly a part of our Portico inflection work. That's where I met her a long time ago, and she works with a lot of schools that work with inflection. So her work and support has been valuable also, but it's also those two great funding streams, Title I and the early literacy grant, where those funds came also.
Nice. And that grant goes through how long?
It is going to be renewed.
Okay,
My understanding.
okay.
So we will continue to get that 40,000 next biennium as well, unless something drastic happens in the legislature.
Excellent.
This isn't something we're standing a chance of losing due to federal irregularities, is there?
That's always up in the air because the state, a lot of the state's funds with Title I and support with interventions and such, those are federal dollars. They also have their own general fund dollars and they allocate from there. But there is a chance that those title dollars could be impacted and that they could impact something besides our direct budget. Could be something that state supports through those funds that they keep at ODE.
Just that, you got something that's working and it's working well, you just dread the fact that, you could go away for.
If they didn't put all the eggs in one basket, which is really nice, by braiding that together, it really creates an insurance that it's not all going to drop out from underneath us because it's all supporting each other.
I'm still holding out hopes that somebody will be smart and realize that the backs of our underprivileged kids who are struggling reading is not the place to balance a budget. They need more funds, not less. And I will be talking with all of our state and federal legislators to share that. It's like second or third in the pile. So it should be happening.
Well, and you have data to show how well it's working now too. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. We displayed.
Oh, that's fine. We'll be ready for next year.
And this was just through the gossip mill. Is it my understanding that you and Shane are possibly presenting at a conference?
Talk to the OSSA boss. We are, there is Oregon Small Schools Association, which is part of COSA. They have an annual conference. It is in Lincoln City at Salishan this year. And I'm a former board member, and Eric Milburn, in Gold Beach is the president of that organization, the superintendent there. And they sent out a query if there's anyone that's interested in presenting, and talked with Shane, and I believe that his plan for Friday electives is a great one. It's panned out really well. So I think it's a good presentation to share with other small schools that electives and lack of them is an ongoing topic. So we're going to apply to present. I'm guessing that we will get accepted. I believe when you're accepted, that pays for your admission to the workshop and don't know if they cover hotels also. We'll have to see. But, should save us a little bit of money. We'll present and get a fantastic idea out to other small schools, and I'm guessing there will be a lot of others that implement. So, yes.
Yay.
We-
I thought that
we're
it
working
was
on
already
research.
acknowledged and approved, right?
No, I've got to finish the application part, and Shane and I are working on it because I had a question for him. But it's not.
I may have accidentally submitted it today.
Oh, that's perfect. No, I tell you, no, that's not. That's exactly what the email was for us to either sit down,
Yeah.
discuss the title and the 100-word description together, or better yet, Shane did it and I didn't have to.
So it
And it's
looks
his
like,
baby. So.
I was just like, okay, I can start working on this. And there's a little button that said next. I'm thinking, okay, I'll do something. So I'll sit down with Aaron and I click next and say, thank you for submitting. I'm like, all right. All right. There you go.
Fabulous. Well, I can check that one off my list.
Well, I think it's all.
So I guess we're likely approved.
Okay. All right. We'll see.
Yes.
Is there anything else?
It's premature still, but because of the discussion about moving the sixth grade up here and the challenges that creates with trying to keep a somewhat separate schedule, whatnot, in a small facility. Believe it or not, I actually got sent to London 3 times one school year to attend workshops specifically on that. Okay. And one of the components that came out of that was switching the schools, the Dodd schools, to a no-bell system. And initially, this totally freaked everybody out because we've all grown up in factory school settings and we can't do anything unless somebody's ringing a bell in our ear, okay? And everyone swore up and down, this would never, ever work. It never worked. Worked beautifully, okay? It was rough for about 4 weeks until kids got tired of doing in-house suspensions and whatever else was levied upon them for being tardy to class. And then it went away. And it shifted responsibility on students to pay attention to their environment. You got clocks in every classroom, in every hallway, in multiple places. It was on them to be in a place. But this allowed us to have a schedule in the same building for the high school students and the middle school students, having bells going off at weird times. Okay. It worked. Everybody thought we were crazy. Not the whole idea was crazy. And when we got it back and we actually put it to work, it worked out just fine. Okay.
You take their cell phones and you make them look at a manual, they're gonna have a tremendous grasp of time.
I'm just saying that
Math
bringing
standards.
2 groups into a small school again, who's scheduled, do you put on the bells? Well, just do away with the bells, okay? You had one in the morning for the start of classes and one in the afternoon when the day was over. That was it.
Bills are startling.
It worked great.
It doesn't take too much. My thought process would be that the kids would be studying the clock too much, like, is it time?
They do already. They do already. How much longer before Mr. Brown shuts up? Yeah. Anyway, it was just one of those things. The other half of it was the block scheduling, where we've got specific training on block scheduling. Along with that was the Nobel thing. And everyone had heard about block scheduling. That didn't scare them so bad, but the idea of Nobel just made the teachers great for a brief period of time. That's it. That was it.
Is there any other discussion or comments?
So are we having an executive session tonight, or we do not need one? Okay,
Skip it.
yay. Okay.
Because we didn't have to discuss any individuals. And
I've got the process. Yeah, it's good to go.
yep. Okay, and then we're ready to adjourn the meeting unless for any. Then.